Hey everyone, today I made a homemade chicken noodle soup using the whole chicken. I have some sick family members and I wanted to make some homemade chicken noodle soup to help them get better. So I purchased a whole chicken and I'm going to oven roast this for about an hour or so in my Wagner number 9 deep skillet. First I put it in there at 450 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes or so. And then I'm going to lower the heat to 400 and add the lid and cook it the rest of the time. I do prefer to cook the chicken separately because if you put the whole chicken inside of a stock pot and add all your water and veggies, all that flavor from the chicken is just going to end up in your stock, leaving you with a flavorless chicken. So I do keep that separate. Once it's all done, I'm going to pull the chicken aside and let it cool. While that's cooling, I'm going to use this skillet to cook the veggies. As you can see, there's some leftover trimmings from that chicken, and that's extra flavor that I want to ultimately end up in my stock. So I used what's called a mirepoix, which has some onion, celery, and carrot, and I'm going to gently cook those for about 15 minutes or so in that skillet, which is going to concentrate the flavors of those veggies, and it's also going to soften those veggies as well and get those extra trimmings that are left over in that pan. I don't want to go too high on the heat because I do not want to caramelize any of the vegetables. That's going to end up with a stock that is too sweet. If you have a mother-in-law or somebody to help you, they can help shred that chicken. They just by hand peel the chicken right apart from those bones and put it in that stock pot. I am going to be using my Instant Pot, one of my favorite kitchen gadgets. It's super handy and convenient. It has a lot of functions like pressure cooking, and it has a saute function. It has a slow cook function. I was able to get rid of my crock pot and just use this. If you want to slow cook something like a crock pot, you can do that with this. After putting all the bones and the veggies in the pot, then what you want to do is fill it all the way up with water. And then I added some fresh ginger to the stock. I feel like that just adds another nice element of flavor in there. And then I'm going to pressure cook that on high for about 90 minutes. It's going to achieve a PSI of 15. So that's going to be 15 times higher than the regular atmosphere. What's nice about that is because the pressure's higher, the stock is going to achieve a much higher temperature inside that Instant Pot that you would not be able to achieve if you cook it on the stovetop. On the stovetop, the liquid can only get to 212 degrees or so before it just starts boiling and evaporating off. You don't have that issue with the Instant Pot. Also, because it's just superheating the liquid, it's not going to be boiling inside there, so you're going to end up with a more relatively clear looking stock when it's all finished. Once those 90 minutes are up and the pressure has gone down in the pot, I'm going to go ahead and remove all of the veggies and bones, just using a strainer. And then beyond that, I'm going to use a colander to get rid of any leftover particles and solids that are left in that stock. It's just going to make it like a nice, beautiful golden color, and it's packed with vitamins and minerals and nutrition. Now, if you don't like the fat inside your soup, what you can do is you can cook it the night before and just let it sit in the refrigerator overnight, and then when the next day comes around, you can just scoop off all that fat because it's going to separate and float to the top of the stock, and you can just remove that and you can just have your chicken soup without any of that extra fat. Now, me personally and my family, we do enjoy the fat that's in there. So I didn't do that, but that is something that you could do if that's your preference. I'm going to keep the chicken soup relatively simple and just season it with salt, pepper, and some parsley. I'm going to use the saute function on the Instant Pot to get that up to a boil, and then you can add any vegetables in there, and you want to cook those for about 10 or 15 minutes or so. While that's heating up, you can go ahead and get another stock pot and boil some water to cook your noodles. I used an egg noodle, and I do prefer cooking the noodles separately. and not just cooking them inside my stock, because it's going to absorb a lot of liquid in those noodles and that can throw off the balance of your seasoning. So that's just something that I prefer to keep separate and on the side. Once it's all done, the noodles are cooked, the chicken's cooked, the stock is done. I prefer to keep those all separate from each other. What's nice about this is you can put it on your table and you can serve it hot pot style and just ladle that hot broth into your bowl. And then you can add as much or as little of the noodles and chicken as you want to. If you want, you can add further seasoning to your personal preference. You can throw some chives or onions in there if you want to. But I was really happy with the way this soup came out. My family really loved it, and I hope it's going to help them get over this wintertime cold that they're having.